Hey everybody, this is Peter from Spin Rack, and we also have
Calvin Ellis ready to rock.
today we are going to tackle James Gunn and his show of power and say all that was is not anymore. Now everything is new because Gunn has come in and has cleaned the whole DC stable for his own enjoyment and his own liking, and we're gonna look through this and see what's going on here, right? So he gives a detailed response, major DCU changes. Sorry, there's gonna be a ton of ads here. Much apologies, but they scrapped the script for Wonder Woman 3, meaning Patty Jenkins and Jeff Johns are out. Man of Steel is out. Outside of what they have, no further plans for Aquaman movies after this one that's coming out. You know, there's a cameo for Cameo in Flash, but we're not sure about that. He's not going into specifics. They say that's unlike his normal style. And basically, you know, how this thing, and we got some of the tweets that he said here. And it's a reboot which DC has done way before, but it's a style of reboot that's we have some stuff we still have to do, but at the same time we're basically going to try to make them into mulchum as it goes, similar to what is it, like the Black Widow or something like that. Let these things come out, but kind of try to get the steam out of it. Sorry for these nutty ads that keep popping up. Close what I can, right? So yeah, somehow it's been fruitful. We don't got no story, but we got 10 years of stuff. What if one of those years has doesn't go well, right? What if the first year doesn't go well? So Cal, what are your thoughts?
Hmm. Sounds like what? It'd be like a skit. Like sounds like DC. Even though I know it's not fair. You got to differentiate between Warner Brothers and DC. But they started off with Man of Steel. What was that? 2012,
Mm-hmm.
and it's now 2022, and they still have no direction. Yeah. Man of Steel, said this before, was a film that was made via court fiat. It either you make this film or give up the rights to give up the Superman rights to making film and let somebody else do it. So we get Man of Steel. It was a movie that was made for reasons that really didn't have anything to do with making a Superman film. It was released to mixed reviews, and it probably would have been iced afterwards. But Avengers came out, and they were like, they looked and they're like, what, $1 billion? For these dudes, we got our own characters. Let's go with it. And they kept the same guy on. He decided to go his direction, and then they also started listening to Twitter. They started listening to all these Twitter trolls, and those guys directed, I think, a lot of the stuff. Also, the money, because they were still. I don't care what people want to say now. Those films were profitable for them.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, they might have been expensive, but at the same time, they were profitable. They made a ton of money on making those. I mean, just a film like Suicide Squad that pulled in almost 800 million, based on. I mean, I don't know what the budget. The budget might have been 200 million at the max, and it made 800. So I know they were happy with
Oh.
the numbers on a good number of these films. So they
Mm-hmm.
were making money. Now it's just to the point like, hey, no, 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 we're not throwing down this much money anymore. We can see the projections. We've been getting away with it. And if we're going to make more money, we have to have something more, cohesive, so we can get people in seats on a regular basis, similar to our competition. So they're coming into a situation where once again there is no plan, and they're being told, "Hey, look, let's see what you guys can deliver. Well, it'll be 10 years. It will not be 10 years. It'll be 3 years if they make some bombs, if that." And then you still have
Well,
the other films coming down the pike, because you still have Flashpoint, Shazam. Those are still and Aquaman. Those are still films from the previous regime, and they're still coming down the pike as well. So you have no idea what the future holds. Nobody knows. Not for these guys.
well, I mean, yeah, that's you raised a lot of important points, and it's kind of hard to kind of look at it and say, from your estimation, you're saying that the money they're gonna go lower as far as how much they're gonna spend, movie wise, right? That's what it sounds like to you.
I think they have to. I think they're running their own projections, and they don't have. I mean, you only get Wonder Woman, the first Wonder Woman movie. You only get that once, so you only get the drive for it once. You only get the first Aquaman movie once. So they pretty much used up all their number ones. They don't have anything else. They can't get anything going on TV. Warner Brothers has been acquired once, twice. Looks like they're talking about it might be acquired again. So again, if it would have been the same company that was in 2012, maybe different stuff. But now you're going every time they get acquired, people are like, look, cost savings. We just bought this thing. We don't want to throw some more money after it. We need to make money on this thing right now. And so they're going to pretend like they don't have any money and they're going to go from there at this point. So those are just, I mean those are just standard projections that they're looking at. How are we going to be able to put asses in seats? We're not too sure. We're not too sure about that. Well, what about this film over here? Well, The Rock did the film, didn't quite make the money that we would have liked. So what are we going to do from here? Well, we can always retool, because what does retool doing is a reboot that gives us the opportunity to do number ones again.
Well, that's the thing that people cried and cried with the Marvel stuff, saying don't do this, and they've been trying their best to kind of stay away from it. DC's like, hey, we know that there is some interest in a redo of like going from the Batman from 89 to the Chris Nolan Batman's a full restart. Somehow people have been like, no, let's not do this. Let's start over from this, giving something in the middle, so they kind of have the origin story blues, but it would be a way to go with the restart. But my problem with this whole thing of just trashing everything that's there and fixing stuff is like, you're not, is he going to give us Alex Ross? Is this what we're going to get? Saying, hey, this is the template, make this, the same thing that happened with Jupiter's Legacy. It costs money to make that picture that we have up here. It costs you money. Are you gonna put up the money to make this, or it's gonna be like Superman, Black Canary, and Plastic Man, and then we like, yeah, and then the Black Green Lantern. And we're like, we did it. They look close enough. This some flash. Like the thing is, Shazam has a whole group of people that they're coming out with a movie with, and to be like, I could see, no, I can't see them really torching because they already did all the changes, but it also seems like they were just waiting to figure who the guy was to take over, and then they were going to just torch everything. It's going to scorch the earth and start
That
over.
sounds that sounds about right. I mean,
So,
The Rock and James Gunn, before this announcement came out, both of those guys were in competition. They were trying to scoop up as much DC real estate as possible. And had Black Adam delivered at the box office, we would probably be telling a totally different story right now. That didn't happen. James Gunn got the nod. And I mean, a lot of the other stuff, it can just go. I mean, is Shazam, as we saw it rendered on screen, really that consequential to the DC universe? Doesn't really seem like it. They might want to try to keep Wonder Woman around and Aquaman, for those reasons. But I'm pretty certain they'll let Henry Cable go without a heartbeat. Same thing for Shazam, Black Adam. Suicide Squad. It's the Suicide Squad. You can literally kill off the entire cast and get new guys in there, so called the Suicide Squad. So there's nothing really there to have them be maintenance.
well, then that's the thing. Why do you do? My issue is you don't do Shazam. You don't do Green Lantern. Like, why do you fix stuff like putting good money to bad properties? You had to
So
do that.
so what do you do?
I say he probably picks the characters he likes in the DC universe and says, "This is the Justice League, Mister Terrific,
Well
Batman."
then, all right. So you're gonna fail again.
He gave us
Along
a
the same
picture.
lines.
Is he going to give
Yeah.
us these things? He can't. No one can put. Yeah, what is that? They got It's like
Well, he can't do as much as I would agree with it. He can't do this.
11.
Because he's not going to get away with this. You got to have at least one black face here. So he's not going to
14.
get a
Sorry, yeah, keep going.
no, because you want to do the whole like Knights of the Round Table thing. You're going to have to put at least one black face in here. So that's not gonna fly. But if he's serious, then yeah, this is what we get because this is what yet they have to put on screen. They haven't done it. Even with the ones that hit, those aren't the DC characters per se. So we'll see how it goes.
So like this is a bad sell to say he's gonna give us these 14 characters. We already showed on Mr. Terrific he got 10 years. Do you do the Marvel thing where we've got the Justice League initiative and that's just jokingly saying they're gonna have something to tie all these things together. Instead of doing what Marvel did, have one good movie. And then after you got the good movie saying, hey, we should pull together Avengers. What I see, and they went against what was sold, and they said, even though we said Black Panther, Shang-Chi, I think maybe Captain Marvel, and a couple other things, they went and said, we're going to do the big three. And people said, who are the big three? So don't worry, they're going to be as big as Iron Man, Captain America, and Thor. Don't worry, guys. And they were able to do it. They were able to figure a way to it, and it was, looking at Thor, it felt like it was going to be a little forced, but they got the right person at least to create the dynamics with Josh Whedon, but we can't say his name anymore. So, but we had a lot of luck. So that's what's going on here, and it's a Marvel. It is how you were saying. The Marvel's a little engine that could, and then they got bought out by DC before the Avengers came out. Also, to cost a whole. I mean, Marvel was still sold to them, but it was probably cost a whole hell of a lot more. But
You
it's
mean
a
you,
thing. Hmm?
you mean you mean bought out by Disney?
Yeah, yeah, it would happen whether the Avengers made $1 billion and then they bought them. It would just cost Disney more money, but Marvel still needed the money. They were still a company that was still like feeling the hurt from the bankruptcy. So every time they seemed like they were back, but as far as the publishing, I think there was some definite, definitely from where they were and to where they are was way different. So I just feel like you don't have to scorch everything. You can play nice, but at the same time, nobody wants another boss standing next to them saying you can't use this character, you can't do that. Whereas everyone is on, they would at least be on notice. Well, no one does it like this. There was a gag when Shooter left Marvel, like they felt that the Marvel high ups, someone threw out a rumor, and Chris Claremont was scared. He said they're going to get burned to be the editor in chief, and he's like the people when they said that, I heard it. I said, like Chris is the only one that would be bulletproof. Like the X-Men are selling like it's not what I like, but the X-Men are selling too much. He said, but watch out once sales starts dropping, then come back. But a business doesn't work that way. Kevin Feige sees Jeff Loeb as a threat. He ran a couple of TV things that had at least, if not they had the initial buzz, and at least the heroes had mainly a television arc, which was big interest. Dies out towards the end. Obviously the suit got thin with the Netflix shows as it went on, but definitely the Daredevil still hold up. The Punishers held up, and there was some moments for the Jessica Jones, and mainly this first season, moments early, maybe the first four, and then maybe we could see, Luke Cage maybe getting better, hopefully getting better. But there was sign you're like, this is another elephant in the room. We got to get rid of them, and that's seemingly in the DC. I wouldn't call like James Wan, Patty Jenkins. They're like regular directors that just can be canned and move on to the next project. But I mean, like let them try. Let's see what's happening. Let's not try to throw out the whole baby with the bathwater. For what? For just projections? What we project in these 10 years of what money we can make? When you said Aquaman made $1 billion, Wonder Woman was in the pandemic. There's still money on the table we can get now. and then we can our stuff can work. No, what if their stuff does better than our stuff? But at the same time, it's you got 10 years, you got 3 years, or you move on to something else. Who knows? You're planning on moving to something else because you're not saying nobody said Kevin Feige isn't saying, "Hey, I got 10 years in this and I'm breaking out." Like he's giving it a 10-year thing so he can do something else later. But ultimately, if this door is open, why do you think Christopher McQuarrie is still doing movies with Tom Cruise? Because those are the doors that are open. You just keep making those movies until you have a disagreement, you don't want to work together, or you have enough money to do the next thing. But I think he's setting out himself. It could be totally successful. All right, now I'm not being doubtful of it, but I just don't think he needs to throw everything out. When you have things that have been hits, and you can try to make things that I'm really sorry that Black Adam didn't hit, but maybe that's what DC wanted. Maybe they really wanted. They seemed like they wanted to work with James Gunn. They say it seems like they say they have success with the Peacemaker on HBO Max, but HBO Max is going through another identity change too. So it's like, did it really help the company or what? But they say, look it up. I looked it up. It said it did well for them. So I'm guessing on the strength of that, they give him the whole thing. I don't know if that's strong enough to give him that. And ultimately, I would think of somebody who, going to Christopher McQuarrie, he was the person who kind of, whether it wasn't my way, the direction he set the X-Men on basically carried them on, like making Magneto connection to the Holocaust, which was in the comic books. That basic thing is what carried the whole X-Men this entire time. Obviously they had other writers help out like Josh Whedon and whatnot, but that basic rewrite he did got them on track, and he had plans for Superman and Green Lantern. So it's like, I don't know if James Gunn is that guy. He does look at the comic books. I just don't want him to do Tromaville. He's done too much Tromaville for a big budget Tromaville for my taste. So I'm hoping he can somehow not turn this into adding more foes than Alex Ross usually adds to these comic books with characters and his
Well,
over realistic
this
stuff.
this shouldn't be to be honest, it shouldn't be this hard. Where this guy gets the job, and then he believes, okay, well, since they got the job, they want me to do things my way, like Tromaville. It's like, no, we're trusting you to be able to come here and deliver for these specific projects, these specific characters. So we don't expect to see a Tromaville version of Superman. We expect you to make a good Superman movie, and then we can get some franchises rolling out of this. It shouldn't be that hard where somebody understands, hey, look, I can do this stuff. I can do my Tromaville stuff with the Suicide Squad. These guys these guys are not married to any foundation, and I can do that stuff with them. And these other throwaway characters, yeah, I can do that. I can't do it with Superman. They won't let me do it with Batman. Okay. But if I can just deny myself, if I can deny myself the self indulgence of
Mm-hmm.
doing whatever the hell I want, I can actually make some really good films here, and that'd be great. And then of course I can always get to flex my shoulders with some other stuff. But you know that's what it means to not just be a director, but if you're going to be the guy to oversee these particular projects, similar to the way Feige's overseeing them at Marvel, for better or for worse, the stuff that hits and the stuff that doesn't, then it really shouldn't be that hard. You or I could do it without we could do it based on our knowledge of the characters, maybe not necessarily in terms of dealing with budgets and directors, but understanding, no, 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 this is, we're not going to green light this because there's no reason why Hawkman should be black in this film. Why not? We haven't seen Hawkman yet. Why is he black in this film? Oh, because Hawkman. Like, no, 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 it doesn't make any sense. Okay, we can do a film where we show that Hawkman is reincarnated, and at certain points he was this and that, but it doesn't make any sense to start off this way when the most well-known version of this character doesn't look like this. If they can get that done, and you have somebody to say no and yes to things that work, then you're okay. That you're gonna have to cut a whole bunch of budget. You can't give Patty Jenkins 20 million, so of course you're gonna have to, tell her, look, you can do it our way or you can walk, and she'll walk, and then you try to keep the stuff that you can, and you go with it. But it really, should not be this hard. Not with characters that have been around since literally since the 1930s and the 1940s. It shouldn't be that hard.
Well, in my that's the thing. I'm looking at it and I'm definitely in agreement. But it's like you have these properties, and you have James Gunn, and the problem. What do you do? What's his opening thing? He wakes up and he says, "Hey, I'm doing Bloodshot movie, and what are we gonna start out? This is just to pain, get on your nerves. Start out with a redo of the American Gangster film scene, but now instead of Idris being the one saying put the gun to her head, Superman's there, and he said, 'Oh, Bloodsport, you're here.' He said, 'Come on.' Superman puts the gun to Superman's head. Blow. Superman, like that's a James Gunn type of thing. That's what I'm worried about.
If
I'm
he
worried about.
can, again, he's got to deny himself that self-indulgent malarkey. And if he can do that, then yeah, these guys would be in pretty good shape because I think he's a good filmmaker.
Mhm.
So if he can lend that to being in charge and making and telling these other guys what a good filmmaking is and green lighting and approving it, no problem. If he can't, then hey, 10 years from now, they'll try again.
Well, I know. Hopefully, you have the time. I just wanted to also add, if I've seen Bullet Train, and they say the director of that also did Atomic Blonde. Now, the that's the thing you're trying to go for, where you've done this gritty thing where every you can see every punch hurts, and somebody's like there's effects to every punch. Everything is you get more worse for wear, whereas you in the scenes and locales are very dark and gritty. Whereas he does Bullet Train, and it's a basically a Hollywood type of rubber room type fight where there are people who die, but at the same time it's like stuff bouncing, bullets bouncing, be able to dodge, hit someone else like that. You hit the stand, fall out the train type of deal, and yeah, I don't care how bloody Brad Pitt is, he still is like bulletproof in this story. So it's like being able to make a change from saying what's going to be my gag for the Justice League. What
There's no gags. That
what
that
about how can I
there's no,
make them
there,
have a dance scene? Master Manhunter, he's gonna do the moonwalk. Like what is it? He like you can't. What is going to be his gag outside of the hook of saying like the Suicide Squad doing the hey, you're the guy who shot Superman with a kryptonite bullet, blah blah. We need to obviously there's some feeling to it and saying, oh, this guy had the gall to do something like that, and they made a bigger deal out of it than was ever done in the comic book. So it's just like,
if you can let go of all of that, then you can make some good films. If you can indulge, okay, what's the Martian Manhunter likes Oreo cookies or chocos as they call them that, and maybe you can work a little bit of that stuff in, some marginal stuff. Okay, but if like the stuff that you're bringing up, if you don't recognize that the Justice League are like the Olympians, okay, and they're the Olympians with unimpeachable moral character. That's
mm-hmm.
who you're dealing with at this point. They are not the Avengers. They don't make the mess, clean it up, and somehow become heroes. And they're not like the Scarlet Witch, where you come over, you make a mess, and you give yourself a new outfit and fly away. That's not them. It's a totally different scene. And if you
Mm-hmm.
get that, then you're gonna actually give the audience something new. You'll give them something to think about, and you'll give something that's different than your competition. Otherwise, if it's the stuff that you're talking about, then it doesn't matter. You're going to be right back where you started. Mark my words.
But look at this. I'm going to end on this. Is as for more answers about the future of DCU, I will sadly have to ask you to wait. We are giving these characters and the stories some time and attention they deserve, and and we ourselves still have a lot more questions to ask and to answer. What is that? You have stuff you can do that's ready to go. Just put the stuff out. Like whatever's already ready, give us a movie. No, no, we need those to die. That's the thing. It's just like you got 10 years. What are you waiting for? And your first thing you're going back to back. They just killed Batgirl. Now he's in a meeting talking about doing more Batgirl. It's like Why did DC kill it? Oh no, we always wanted to do it. We just wanted to do it under this regime. And Josh Whedon, the guy we wanted to do it, became toxic, so we couldn't do that anymore. But it's like they still the producers, the people behind the scenes still have the stuff they want to do. Like, what do you do now? You don't do any more Jokers? I
I
can't.
think I think Josh Whedon on Batgirl would be awesome.
Yeah, it's well, just to end it and say, yes, we have a lot of questions, no real answers. And we had a future that we saw when they were initially talking about it, saying, no, he's going to do Justice League and Man of Steel. And they're like, nope, that was to keep you guys here. And then now there's enough, we've let the failure of Black Adam sink in. Now everything has to be changed. But Aquaman was a billion. Now that has to go too. it all goes.
Well, they were trying to move. I mean, they were trying to move, albeit unsuccessfully, from the Snyderverse for the last 5 or 6 years. So, I mean, after Justice League, they had already made a determination that we wanted to move away from it, and they could not. I mean, they did get some stuff out, but then you got the pandemic, which slows stuff down. Then you have the Snyder cut, and them indulging and listening to a bunch of Twitter nonsense, which is also something I'll tell James Gunn. You may not want to announce your plans on Twitter. That really, there used to be a mystique to these films being made, and there used to be a process where you couldn't get to these people and you didn't find this stuff out. And now, they're, why are you telling people your plans on Twitter? At the end of the day, hey, go make your movies and let the film speak at the end of the day. Or if you want to put a trailer out on Twitter, I understand. But you're in charge of all of this stuff, and you're out on Twitter almost like you're doing a mea culpa. Stop doing it.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, he's got, well, oh my God. So that's, wait a second, that's not his wife, is it? Please.
If she's a blonde, that's his wife.
That's the girl from, isn't that the girl from the Suicide Squad?
Yeah, I thought you knew.
I didn't know that. Oh my
Yep.
God. Wow. You shouldn't have, what is the Frank Miller headline? You shouldn't have signed it. You shouldn't have signed your destruction of Black Adam, put in your wife.
I'll quote it. It's a nice piece of work, Kingpin. You shouldn't have signed it.
No, no, the thing is gorilla. See what I'm talking about? Look at this. Ultra humanoid and all the Grodd and all this. Hey, do you know what these, oh God, look at that. I'm getting myself upset. Oh gosh. I mean, I have no bad things to say about the oh, here we go, Blue Beetle.
That's exactly where these guys want to be. They want to do stuff like Blue Beetle that's cheap and have it resonate. But you got us that picture he showed, the Alex Ross picture. If you can't get that going, you're nowhere. How can you not make a successful Superman franchise? How can the only character you nail be Batman and whatever alternate versions that you want to do with him, and alternate versions of the Joker? It's crazy.
Will we see this though? I know this is a making plans thing. Is you think this is the way he wants to go?
The Alex Ross, that
Kingdom Come.
I don't know about. I don't know about Kingdom Come. That'd be something nice to get to. I mean, DC has a multiverse, and they have those great Elseworld stories that you can tie into all of this. But it doesn't work if you don't establish the characters they're based on first. So Kingdom Come, that's like after your first 10 years. That's well after your first 10 years, and that's like that's easily a two-part story, and you knock people's socks off with it. But first, you've got to commit to making these particular films and making them good. There's, I mean, Superman is my guy, and I always look at the fact that you've had six different Superman films, and the main villain has either been General Zod or Lex Luthor. They haven't
Well,
tapped anybody else.
there's that too. Well,
And
not
then
just a Brainiac at least.
you got a guy who can go anywhere in the universe. He can fly from one edge of the universe to the other, and almost all of the action takes place in Metropolis. I'm like, come on, you guys have talk about having scratched the surface on a character at the end of the day. And then I look, Batman. We've seen the whole rogues gallery. We've seen some of these guys twice. It's
Yeah.
mal. It's just malpractice at
When we
the end
get
of the day.
Scarecrow in there, we've gone too far. And I like Scarecrow, and I like what they did, but I don't. But no,
No, you,
I guess the last bit because I can't. I do like what he did with Mantis, which is a nothing character, but that's still going to the silly side. And I will say it's pretty smart or pretty low to take out the Cykill, the GoBots, to torch these guys. But I get it. It's they weren't my favorites. They weren't the Transformers. So, but yeah, it's hard to say what he's gonna do. But he's kind of showing off that he knows some things, and Blue Beetle's actually happening, and it's going to be the young kid. It's not going to be Ted Cord. So but Ted Cord it'll be like Ant Man. It'll be like DC. It'll be DC's Ant Man. I'm sorry I even said that, but I guess we should wrap this up. Any other last words?
hey, James Gunn, you weren't my pick. Good luck. Please tap some good writers from DC. Even if other people have branded them toxic, these are still people who understand the universe. Get those guys in there and put your best foot forward. All right, because you got at this point your brand is dog food. Dane, it's not even Alpo. You got some work ahead of you.
All right, spin a rack.
Out.